and value analysis, or EVA. So we're saying that this is a practical guide to measuring project performance. So I want to try to break down the concept of EVA using very simple language. Because whenever we are trying to monitor and evaluate projects, this is a critical tool that we all need to know. And especially for those of us who are certified M&A professionals, I think we cannot run away from and value analysis. You realize that there are many instances where the only way in which we can monitor and evaluate projects, and you know, mainly the part of monitoring, our focus can only be on and value analysis, and it's very, very important for us to get a clear understanding of what this one is and how we can use it going forward. Now, for those who have accessed Eval 360, our digital mail system that is AI enabled, you realize that we have integrated EVA, especially when it comes to the monitoring of infrastructure project. If you're monitoring an infrastructure project, then EVA is your best friend. Okay, of course, plus many other projects. So what is this animal called EVA? And I want to use a few minutes just to help us understand what it is. Now, from the start, we all know that the success of a project is determined by our adherence to things like the cost, the scope, and the schedule. In terms of the cost, we know that we must complete our projects within budget. In terms of the schedule, we must complete our projects within the schedule, within the timeline that we have been given. And in terms of scope, we need to do everything that the project requires us to do. So how do we ensure that our projects are completed within budget? How do we ensure that our projects are completed within schedule, approved schedule? How do we ensure that we do everything that the project requires us to do, or that we are able to manage the scope? And value analysis is a tool that we use to ensure that this one happens. So it measures a project progress. That is what EVA does. It also forecasts its completion date and final cost. Now, this is very important because halfway down the project, you need to know the rate at which we are spending money, what is likely to be our final cost for this project. So that if our final cost is higher than the approved budget, that makes investment early enough to ensure that we are as close to the approved budget as possible. If you're able to forecast and see that the final date of completion is way beyond the approved schedule, then early enough, we don't catch those things when the project is already complete. We catch them early enough so that we can make adjustments so that we are as close to our schedule as possible. And along the way, we are able to provide schedule and budget variances. Now, I want you to imagine you're implementing a project for 10 months. It's a 10-month project from January to October. By the third month, if I were to do monitoring by the third month, are we above budget at that particular point in time, or are we below budget? Because we don't want to wait until the 10th month to realize that, wait a minute, the budget, we've used double. So I want to know, by month one, are we above budget or are we below budget? By month one, am I ahead of schedule or am I behind schedule? Okay. So that's very, very important in terms of and value analysis. And if you want to use these techniques or this technique, the actual information must be regularly collected. That is in terms of the work breakdown structure. So we must ask ourselves, was each work breakdown structure or approximation of that, was it completed, or how much was completed? All right. What are the actual start and end dates of activities? Now, not the plan, because you can plan to start an activity on January 1, but you end up starting that activity on January 10. So you must record what is the actual start and end date of each activity. And finally, what are the actual costs of activities and tasks? So when you want to use and value analysis, this is the data that you must record along the way. Okay, you must record this. If you don't have this information, you cannot be able to use and value analysis. You can't. So and value analysis is important so that you know where you are on schedule, you know where you are on budget, and you know where you are in terms of work accomplished. And we need and value analysis because different measures of progress for different types of tasks. Now, I like giving this example. Imagine you are building a house. Imagine you're building a 10-story building. The question that you want to ask yourself is, at what point will you say you are 50% complete? Now, the way we measure plumbing work, or the way we monitor plumbing work is very different from the way we monitor electrical work. And it is very different from the way we monitor interior decor. It is very different from the way we monitor the structural part of the building. It is different from the way we monitor the security installation. So, assuming plumbing work is 10% complete, electrical work is 50% complete, interior decor is 2% complete, and you want to know what is the overall completion level of this project. How do you do that? That's why we need and value analysis. And this is what we just said. Need to roll up progress of many tasks into an overall project status. So you look at how much have we done on plumbing? How much have we done on electrical work? How much have we done on bricklaying? How much have we done on security installations and stuff like that? Then you roll that one up and say, now, based on all this, my project is 45% complete. Okay. But there's also need for uniform unit of measure. And I know when we are talking about indicator development, when you're talking about indicator development, we need to use, uniform unit of measure. You can either use dollars or whatever currency you're using, or work hours. Otherwise, you won't be able to measure it. If you don't do that, you will not be able to measure it. Okay. And it also provides early warning signal for prompt corrective action. And I think we're going to be seeing why that is critical. Now, let's get to a practical example. And I think I have just mentioned this. I want you to assume that this is your project. So someone has employed you because you are a certified M&E professional. Someone has employed you to monitor the progress of this project, this construction project. Now, they have told you this project needs to be completed in 10 months. I don't know how practical that one is, but let me just take that as an example. This project needs to be completed in 10 months. But also, this project needs to cost, it's a 10-floor building, 10 floors, okay? And this project must cost $100,000. So your job is to ensure that this project is completed within the approved schedule, that is 10 months, within the scope that is approved, that is 10 floors, it has to be 10 floors, and within the approved budget, that is $100,000. That is your job. Now, the owner of the building, the owner of this project tells you, I will come to check the progress in March. We are starting in January, we are ending in October. And I'm coming to check the progress in March. And when I come, I will want to know two things. I will want to know how many things? Two things. I will want to know, are we on budget? Or have we spent more than we should have spent by March? Okay? This is number one. The other thing I will want to know is, are we ahead of schedule or are we behind schedule? So you must tell me that by March, we are either ahead of schedule or behind schedule. You also must tell me whether we are over budget or under budget, so that if we are over budget, I need to start asking myself, I thought this building will cost 100,000. Now it will cost 150. Now I need to start applying for a loan, a top-up loan early enough, because you have given me feedback by March. You've given me feedback early enough. So that is critical. Now, it is not possible, listen to this. It is not possible to know by March whether we are over budget or below budget, or whether we are ahead of schedule or behind schedule, if we did not put a target for March. So in January, we must sit between you, the monitoring and evaluation person, the contractor, and the client. You must sit down and agree. By the end of January, what do we need to have completed by the end of January? How much are we planning to spend by end of January? How much work are we planning we will have completed by February? How about by March, all the way to October. For those who did, who filled your M&E plan, I want you to start thinking about the performance monitoring plan that we worked on, where you have the target per quarter. Quarter one, there's a target, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. Okay, so in this case, let's assume we are, the frequency of reporting is monthly. So we sit down and decide, now, by January, we want to have done the first floor, floor one. And that floor one, we are planning that it is going to spend $10,000. By February, the second floor. And by February, we want to have spent 20,000. So it is 10,000 per floor. By March, the third floor, 30,000, all the way to October, where by October we will have completed the building and it will have costed us 100,000. So this is how we have, this is our plan. This is our plan. So we agree with the contractor, we sign the contract, and and the client goes home and they provide the resources, they go home, they're like, now continue working. Okay. Now, our job is to verify to what extent is this schedule being followed. So I want you to keep that in mind because we are going to use that, to use this as an example. So the only thing I want you to catch here is we are doing 10 floors. Each floor is taking 1 month to complete, and each floor is costing $10,000. Catch that, catch that. You can even write it down somewhere because we will need it. So let me give some guidance in terms of how now do we evaluate or monitor this project along the way. So we must understand, the first thing that we need to understand in order for us to monitor this project, we need to understand what is the language? What language do we use in earned value analysis? So in earned value analysis, you will hear something like planned value. Planned value. Now, planned value is the value of work that we had planned to have completed by a certain milestone. It is also called budgeted cost of work scheduled. Okay, budgeted cost of work scheduled. So planned value, when we talk about planned value, what do we mean? This is the budgeted cost of work scheduled. It is a planned cost of the total amount of work scheduled to be performed by a certain milestone. Planned value answers the question, how much work did you plan to have done by now? Now, I want you to look at this plan. In March, what is the cost of work? What is the planned cost of work that we had we had assigned for March. So by March, we had planned to have completed work worth 30,000. And therefore, our planned value by March is 30,000. Because that is the budgeted cost of work scheduled. The budgeted cost we had scheduled to have completed 3 floors. For those 3 floors, we had budgeted to use $30,000. So the budgeted cost of work scheduled is 30,000. And therefore, by March, the planned value is 30,000. So I want you to understand what planned value is. Okay. Planned value. So, or let's say by June. By June, we plan to have completed work that is worth 60,000. By July, 70,000. So this is what we call the planned value graph. You see the way we have done a beautiful graph. Okay. But when we are actually implementing this project, do you think in reality it is possible to follow this? Do you think it's in reality? Sometimes it is not possible to. We think we will have done 6 floors in June, but we have done something else. But anyway, this is our plan, and you must plan. Someone was asking me, we know that we will rarely follow this graph. We know that because of many factors. If we know that we will never be able to follow this graph, is there a need for planning, or do I just implement work? Say, what is your plan? No. I don't want a plan. I will just do the work. And I need somebody to help me understand this. I will be asking you in a few minutes. Now that we know that 90% of the time, because of factors which are beyond our control, that we are not able to follow our plan. We know that. Is there any value in planning, therefore? Is there any value in planning? Even when we know that due to factors that are beyond our control, we may not be able to follow the plan. What value is there in planning? I'll need somebody to give me that answer in a few minutes. But for now, we are assuming that by June, we plan to have done 6 floors, and our 6 floors will cost 60,000. Understood. Great. Now let's go to the next one. Now we know that. Let's go to the next one. However, because of factors that are beyond our control, when me as the client, when I visit the site in June, I am expecting to see 6 floors. But how many floors do I see? I see only 4 floors. Okay. I see only 4 floors. So by June, we had planned to have completed 6 floors, but we only completed 4 floors. Once I realized that, I go back to the documents that we signed with the contractor at the beginning and ask myself, when we sat down in January and we were looking at the cost of work that you're supposed to do, how much money had we budgeted for 4 floors? How much money had we budgeted for 4 floors? We had budgeted only $40,000, 4 floors. So the first question I will ask the contractor is, now that we had budgeted for 40,000 and you have finished 4 floors, have you actually used 40,000 or have you used more than that? Okay. So when it comes to June and we see that we are only at 4th floor, the first question we need to ask ourselves is go back to the documents and ask ourselves, how much had we planned for 4 floors? What do we call that 40,000? That 40,000 is called the earned value. We are at 4th floor. We had planned to spend 40,000 on 4 floors. So that 40,000 is what we call the earned value. Now, this is budgeted cost of work performed. For the work that we have done, in this case 4 floors, for the work that we have done, in this case 4 floors, how much money had we budgeted for it? We had budgeted 40,000. Okay, so we write that one somewhere. Okay, we write that one somewhere. But then I will ask the contractor to give me the receipts of the materials that have been bought, the labor that has been paid, all the costs that have been incurred. I add all those receipts together because I want to know, now that I had budgeted for 40,000, which is the earned value, have you actually spent 40,000 on those 4 floors? Okay. So if he answers the question, how much work is actually done? Now, remember, we are looking at this. I am doing my evaluation in June. We are comparing between planned value and earned value. So our planned value graph remains the same. Our plans don't change. But actually, in January, we had planned to have completed 1 floor worth 10,000. We only completed half a floor. Then we went like that, like that, like that, so that by June, we had planned to have completed work worth 60,000. We only completed work worth 40,000. So I think that is clear. Now, please note that 40,000 is not the actual cost. It is what we planned to spend on 4 floors. Because the next item we want to ask ourselves, how much have we actually spent on 4 floors? And this is what we call the actual cost. I budgeted 40,000, but how much have you actually used? So this is also called actual cost of work performed. It is the cost incurred to accomplish the work that has been done. How much did you spend on 40 floors? On 4 floors. How much did you spend on that? So actual cost answers the question, what is the cost of work that you have already completed? And we now have the actual cost. I had planned that we are going to spend 60,000, but You, the contractor, you have actually spent 90,000. You have spent 90,000 on 4 floors. So the actual cost is 90,000. So this is the whole story. We have the planned value, what we had planned at each milestone. We have the earned value, the value of the work that we have completed by June, and the actual cost, the cost of the work that we have done, the amount of money we have used by June, in simple terms. So I want you to take a minute and look at that graph and confirm that you understand it. Let me see whether there is any question. Do you understand what planned value is? Do you understand what earned value is? And do you understand what actual cost is? Please get another example. I will want somebody to give me an example, your own example, that will help me illustrate this. What is how much had you planned? How much work had you planned to have done? How much have you actually done? And the work that you have done, how much did it cost? James Banak. I don't know whether James is with us. James, talk to me.
Dr. Benson?
Yes, how are you?
Dr. Benson?
Yes, good evening.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Do you understand these three graphs? Talk to me about it.
Sorry, I have not catch up the start.
You have not?
Yes, I'm
Oh, sorry. I think we are losing you.
with you.
I need somebody.
I'm
I need
with you.
somebody to. Yes. I'll come
But
back to you, James. We are losing you because of network. I want somebody to explain this to me in your own words. Anyone who wants to explain this to us in your own words? Because we have to understand this before we proceed. Let me hear from Margaret. I don't know whether Margaret is with us. Sinandugu Margaret. Margaret, good evening. And you have to tell us how you how you ended up with that name. Margaret is called Sinandugu. Margaret, you don't have a brother. Margaret doesn't have a brother.
I have.
Talk to me, Margaret. How are you?
Good.
Yes. Now tell me, can you help me understand this story in your own words? What does actual cost mean? What does planned value mean? And what does earned value mean?
Okay. According to me, earned value is the amount of money that the constructor has spent on the work that is planned but not meeting the exact cost, while the planned value is that exact amount that is signed on the paper between the constructor and the M&E. That is the money they agreed to finish the work.
Mm-hmm.
Then the actual cost value is that money that exceeded what they had planned in the paper, on the paper that they signed. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Good trial. Good trial. I need somebody else to help me understand. I don't know whether Wavisanga is with us. I want you to explain this story in your own words. What does actual cost mean? What does planned value mean? What does earned value mean? Wavisanga, are you with us?
Yes, doctor, I am here.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. I would start with actual cost. This
Actual
is
cost,
all the amount of money that has been spent on the project after month number 4. Whilst planned, this is
Wait, before you go, wait a minute. After month number
4.
Number 4.
Which,
okay.
Sorry, yes, because we said after 4 months, right? This is the amount of money spent after month number 4. That is the actual cost. Whilst the planned is the amount of money that was envisaged to have been spent by that period in question. However, we just need assistance in understanding end value. Thank you,
Okay.
doctor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. It's good for me to ask this so that I know where we are struggling, so that as I explain, I see which area to focus on. Mafosa, Serile Mafosa, good evening. What is your understanding of these 3 terms? Actual cost, planned value, and earned value. Serile Mafosa.
Good evening. Good evening,
evening.
everyone.
Good evening.
I think I know the actual cost.
You know the actual cost.
Yes, is cost that is spent when the project is completed. And then the end value, I will assume it is the money that was agreed between the contractor and the contracted. The person that contracts the person. So they agreed on a certain amount.
Correct.
To say the project will be completed within this amount. And then the planned value is, I would say probably is the money that is planned by the person engaging the contractor to say we are planning to, our budget is we can actually spend up to this much.
Okay. Yes, I'm seeing someone, EYM. Please talk to us. I see your hand is up. Thank you, Mafosa.
Hi, Dr.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. All right. So based on the example that we have,
yes.
I would define the planned value, end value, and actual value based on 3 things. I mean, the target, together with the amount of money allocated as per the period of time. So based on our example, we already have a planned value to be spent as per months, meaning in months January, February, or March, we already have a certain amount of money allocated, and then together with the amount of work to be completed. So for 4 months, we already know the end value based on the initial plan, which was for four-story building, which is 40. So that was the end value. But since it took us 6 months, but on our planned graph, for the planned value was 60. But again, at June, during that time when the fourth floors were done, the actual amount of money spent to complete those 4 floors, it cost more than that, which was close to, I think, 90K USD. So that's how I would explain it.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Now, let me try to make an explanation here. First of all, we are doing our review in June. We are not doing our review in April. The both has come to the site in June, not in April. Okay? So, planned value, this is the value, not cost, the value of work we had planned to have completed by June. The value of work we had planned to have completed by June. And the value is the value of work we have actually completed by June. And the actual cost is the money we have spent by June. Okay? So, listen to this very carefully. If we want to know whether we have spent more money than we had planned, if we want to ask ourselves, have we spent more money than we had planned? We are going to ask ourselves, how much had we planned to spend on 4 floors? How much had we planned to spend on 4 floors? We had planned to spend 40,000 on 4 floors. How much have we actually spent on 4 floors? We have actually spent 90,000 on 4 floors. So are we over budget or are we under budget? Could somebody help me understand that? Are we over budget or under budget? Have we spent more or we are over budget? We are over budget. We are over. That means we are over budget. By how much are we over budget?
That's 90,000 minus 40,000.
90,000 minus 40,000. This is
which
90
gives us $50,000
minus 40,000. So we are over budget by $50,000. Now, are we ahead of schedule or are we behind schedule? Are we ahead of schedule or are we behind schedule?
We are behind.
We are behind schedule because
behind.
by June, we had planned to have completed work that is worth 60,000, but we have only completed work that is worth 40,000. And therefore, we are behind schedule by how much? If we were to put a figure, that is 60,000 minus 40,000. So we are behind schedule by work worth 20,000. Okay. So what we usually do is when it comes to budget, we always start with and value. So and value for budget minus actual cost. This is and value is how much by June? What is the and value by June? 40,000. We agree on that?
Yes.
So and value minus
40,000
minus what is the actual cost?
90,000.
90,000. So what is the difference?
Minus 50.
Minus 50,000.
50,000 different.
Correct. So if the figure is less than 1, we are over budget. If the figure is less than 1, we are over budget. If it is more than 1, we are under budget. For example, assuming our and value was, let's say, 50,000, but our actual cost was 30,000. So for the work that is worth 50,000, we only spent 30,000 on that work. That means we are under budget. And being under budget is a good thing. So it is more than 1. It is a positive figure. If it is a positive figure, then we are under budget. So this is what is called budget variance. This is what is called budget variance. Budget variance is earned value minus actual cost. Now, how do we calculate schedule variance? So are we ahead of schedule or are we behind schedule? We always start with earned value. Every time we always start with earned value. So you say earned value this time round minus planned value. So what is our earned value again in June? Somebody shout it.
40,000.
40,000, correct. And what is our planned value?
60,000.
60,000.
60,000.
So what is our schedule variance?
Negative 20,000.
Negative 20,000. Are we ahead of schedule or are we behind schedule?
Behind the schedule.
We are behind schedule. So when it comes to schedule and budget variances, negative is bad, positive is good. That is what we always say. Negative is bad, positive is good. So by June, we can now confidently say we are over budget by 50,000 and we are behind schedule by 20,000. Okay. So take a second look at that. Take a second look at that so that we are on the same. Now, I want you to give me the schedule variance for the month of March. I have given you for the month of June, the schedule variance for the month of June. I want you to give me for the month of March. March is here. So let me just give you guidance in terms of what is the actual cost. The planned value is here, 30,000. The earned value is 25, and the actual cost is 38. Let me change the color. So the earned value 25, planned value 30, and actual cost 38. What is the schedule variance in March? Anyone?
I think 5,000.
Waziri, 5,000. Schedule variance is
5,000.
5,000.
Yes.
Are we behind schedule or ahead of schedule?
Behind.
Behind schedule by
behind.
5,000.
Yeah.
What is the budget variance in the month of March?
Negative 13,000.
It is 13,000, isn't it? It is 13,000. Correct, because it is 25,000 minus 38. Okay, so it is very, very important for us to be able to communicate the budget variance and the schedule variance. Very, very important. Now, so what is here? Schedule variance. This is what I have just talked about. This is a comparison of the amount of work performed during a given period of time and what was scheduled to be performed. A negative variance means the project is behind schedule. Okay, and that is what we have talked about. Then we have cost variance. Okay, and we are saying that this is a comparison of the budgeted cost of work performed with actual cost. A negative variance means the project is over budget. So that is critical. So the and value charts, negative is bad. I think we have talked about that. The cost variance are calculated as and value. We always start with and value minus some other measure. Budgeted cost of work performed, actual cost of work performed, budgeted cost of work scheduled. I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to confuse anyone. So let's first of all, this is what we just talked about. Okay, and value plus actual cost. Okay, so if the and value chart shows cost overrun or performance underrun, the project manager must figure out what to do to get the system back on target. I think that is quite straightforward. And what options would you have? Maybe borrowing resources, holding a meeting of project team members to suggest solutions, or notifying the client that the project may be late or over budget in good time. I don't want to go into those examples. I'm sure you have understood this. All this is what we have talked about. All this is what we have talked about. Now, this is what I want us to think about. Performance indices. We agreed, listen to this. We agreed that we do not use numbers during evaluation. We either use percentages, averages, or ratios. Who can remind me why we avoid number in evaluation? There's something we said. Why do we avoid numbers? Let me see the person I trained the most recent. Who is from Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe, I was there. Yes, is it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I was there. But I want to know, do we understand why we avoid numbers and instead use averages, percentages, and ratios? Any idea? Let me hear from our long-time good friend, Letabile. I don't know that Letabile is with us. I want to know. Aisha says number does not tell performance. Okay. Okay. Why do we avoid number especially in evaluation? Because we said we don't use number in evaluation. We'd rather use the others. I don't know whether you remember when we were talking about comparisons, and we would compare one country with the other, especially in terms of maybe something like women employment. Now, number does not measure outcomes and impact. Okay, good. Thank you, Aisha. But numbers are not comparable. Numbers are not comparable. So when we say that our budget variance is 50,000 US dollars, that is not a very good measure. We would want to turn that into something like a percentage so that we can compare between the month of March and the month of June. Which month had we done better or worse in terms of budget variance? Between one construction project and another construction project, which one is doing better in terms of budget variances? Now, to do that, we cannot use numbers because one project costs $100,000. The other project costs $1 million. So if we say this project, the variance is 50,000, and the other project, the variance is 100,000, that still does not give us a good comparison. Why? Because one project is bigger than the other. But when we change our variances into percentages, we can now compare our performance across projects with accuracy. And that is why we are now moving from simply calculating variances. We are moving from now calculating variances into calculating something we call indices. We now want to talk about an index. So instead of saying schedule variance, we'll talk about schedule performance index. Now, the principle is the same. The principle is the same. So if, for example, we are saying the cost variance is earned value minus actual cost. Then it's as simple as that. Then cost performance. So of course, this gives us a number. This gives us a number like 50,000. Cost performance index, on the other hand, equals earned value divide by actual cost. Okay, and if you can multiply this by 100, it gives you a percentage. Okay, if you don't multiply it by 100, this one gives you an index. The same way, schedule variance, we said this one is again earned value minus schedule variance, earned value minus
planned value.
Planned value, correct. So what about schedule performance index? How do we calculate this?
It should be EV over
EV
PV.
over divided
PV.
by PV.
Yes,
It's as
PV.
simple as that. It's as simple as that. So you simply replace the minus with a divide. So again, let's look at the rules. We look at the rules. So this is a cost performance index. Okay. Okay. Now, a cost performance index of less than 1 means the project is over budget. If you get 0 point something, it means the project is over budget. If you get more than 1 point something, it means the project is under budget. And of course, schedule performance index. All right. The same rule. An SPI of less than 1 means the project is behind schedule. An SPI of more than 1 means the project is ahead of schedule. So the rules are the same. So you should be able to calculate cost variance and schedule variance, and you should be able to calculate the indices, the cost performance index and the schedule performance index. Could give a cost performance index. The cost performance index as we bring this to a close. I don't want to introduce any other concept for now. I want us to first of all understand that. But give me the cost performance index for the month of May. You're allowed to use your calculator. Cost performance index for the month of May. The first thing you need to ask yourself, what is the and value? Remember, everything starts from the and value. Everything starts from the and value. Once you understand what the and value is in May, you also ask yourself, what is the actual cost performance index? 0.44. That is what Alem is telling us, and I think that is correct. Because it is 38,000 divided by 59,000. Give me the schedule performance index for the month of February. February. Now we are talking about February. The schedule performance index for the month of February. Again, remember, we always start with the and value. Then, depending on whether we want to know about the cost or about the schedule, then we decide what are we dividing that figure with. Okay, 0.65. I want to believe that that is correct because it is and value, which is 13,000 divided by 20,000. Right. So I don't know whether there is any quick burning question before we bring this to an end? Any quick question? So please, please.
Yeah, I have one simple question, Doctor. Sometimes we have been hearing that maybe this construction meet maybe like 50% of the construction or 60% or 80%. So I wonder how these are calculated, or what are they doing in order for them to tell that this construction, for example, a hospital, yeah, the construction progress is at 70%, for example.
Mm-hmm. That's a very, very good question. That's a very good question. When we say, let me put this one down so that we understand what the question is. When we say that a building is what do we mean? Or I could ask, what is the percentage completion? Completion of this building by June. If you want to know the percentage completion by June, what do you look at? Now, is the percentage completion, is it a cost thing or is it a schedule thing? The percentage completion, is that a cost thing or is it a schedule thing? Any idea?
Schedule thing.
It's a schedule thing.
It's a cost
Isn't
thing.
it? It's a schedule thing. So we look at the earned value, the value of the work that we have completed. You divide that by the total cost of the entire project. So by June, what is the percentage? It's 40,000. Okay. Divide by what? We want to know what is the percentage completion of this building. Divide by the total cost of the building. That is 100,000. And then we multiply this by 100. So what is that figure? We are what percent complete?
Yeah, 40%.
What is 40,000? Yes, that's fine. Talk to me.
We are 40% complete by this.
We are at 40% complete. Yeah, correct. So that is how we are able to use earned value analysis to understand the percentage completion of projects. Great. All right, so allow me to stop there. Please keep practicing this. See how you can different projects, and especially infrastructure projects, and those are the complex projects. And I believe that it is going to add a lot of value to you. So thank you very much and have a lovely night. We meet again next week on Tuesday, same place, same time. I think you already have a schedule. So let's meet next week on Tuesday. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, Francine.
Good night all. Have a good night. See you. Bye, ciao.